recently watched the entirety of the Bratz 2005 TV series because how else would I spend my weekend? I'm assuming you're all aware of the Bratz, a group compiled of Sasha, Jade, Yasmin and Chloe, aka the girls with a passion for fashion. These girls have been cultural icons since the early 2000s and I want to talk about them. The Bratz TV series actually started with the movie called Bratz Rock Angels, where these girls decided to start a fashion magazine after Jade loses her internship at Your Thing magazine run by the evil Birdine Maxwell. They go to London, then they bump into a Simon Cowell parody called Byron Powell, who ends up becoming a reoccurring character in the series. They end up forming a band, which results in their magazine being launched into the public consciousness. There's also Bratz Genie Magic, which is also linked to the series, which makes magic canonical in the Bratz universe. That's not even the most insane Bratz movie. That award goes to Bratz Go to Paris, where there's no magic, but it's just really weird. After I spent hours of my life without human interaction, just watching these 4 teenagers get into the most insane situation, I mean, they were kidnapped several times between the movies and TV show, not to mention the murder attempts on their lives. All this life-threatening danger reminded me of the Bratz sleepover movies, where they told scary stories, which then reminded me of the world of Bratz Kids and Bratz Babyz. So I yet again decided to sit in my room and watch Chloe, Sasha, Jade and Yasmin get into a situation none of them would be in if their parents cared about them. Since you clicked on this video, I'm going to assume you want to hear me talk about the Bratz movies, and I'm happy to deliver. I'm going to rank these movies because some of them hold up to this day. I'm going to go from Bratz Babyz to Bratz Kids because that makes sense. The first Bratz movie is Bratz Babyz, the movie. Very creative name. This movie came out in 2006 and was the 4th Bratz movie. The movie obviously includes Chloe, Jasmine, Sasha and Jade, but it also introduced 2 new twin characters, Nita and Nora, who do eventually get dolls of their own. This movie starts at the twins' home. I mean, technically the movie starts with the world's longest intro, but I'm skipping that. We are at Nita and Nora's home. Nita is rushing her sister to get ready as she does not want to be late to daycare. While the sisters are arguing, one of their puppies called Snappy sneaks into Nora's bag. They notice the puppy in the car, and for some reason they do not just leave the dog in the car with their parent. They take it with them to daycare for some reason. They get to daycare and meet with their friends. We also meet their daycare teacher, Miss Calabash. Snappy immediately escapes. The reason the twins didn't tell their teacher about Snappy is because dogs are not allowed at daycare, but apparently every other animal is. Seems like discrimination to me. They disguise their pets as them because there is no difference between frogs and little girls. They are the same, as their teacher could not tell. Glad to see Chloe's anxiety is consistent throughout the Bratz franchise, as she will tell them every single possible thing that can go wrong.
Who knows what could happen? She could get stepped on, accidentally thrown away, eaten by an elevator, sold to a mean person.
Which she does a lot in the Bratz TV series. I love consistency. They chase Snappy around the mall and end up terrorizing this poor woman. They end up finding the puppy in the arms of the local mall bully, Dwayne, who holds the dog for ransom unless these toddlers get him $50. This whole movie would be much shorter if they just told an adult. Dog napping is a crime, probably. Dwayne suggests they enter into the mall karaoke contest, and the prize for it is conveniently $50. Then he leaves, evilly.
Burpy twerps.
The girls argue about how to deal with the situation. Jade, Chloe and Nora think they should just find money elsewhere, as Nora is the best singer of the group, but she refuses to sing on stage. If only they knew in just over a decade, the Bratz would become a successful band who only performed like once. Sasha, Nita and Yasmin want to fight him for Snappy, which is insane. That kid is as tall as a building. I recommend against that. Team find money, go swimming in the fountain looking for coins, and they get stopped by mall security and return to the daycare. Miss Calabash did not even notice they were gone, which is concerning. Like, these toddlers were running around. How do you not notice 8 missing children? The Bratz, Nita, Nora, along with their friends Cameron and Harvey, were all missing for a while, and she didn't notice. She does not run this daycare. The kids do. They chase her around with water guns multiple times. Why is this woman in charge of like 20 hyperactive children? She needs help. Why is there one person here? Also, Jay, Chloe and Nora immediately escape from the daycare. Why are there no childproof lock on these doors? This place needs to be shut down. Children should not be able to escape this easy from your care. Going over to Sasha, Yasmin and Nita, they realize fighting him is not the move, thankfully, and decide to just rob him when his back is turned. I don't want to encourage crime, but this is a far better plan. Still not a safe one, because look at this 3-year-old dangling off a tree, but at least it wasn't certain doom like their initial plan. And of course he notices and tries to stop them, and they're all swinging from trees like Tarzan, which must be great for that dog in the bag. Luckily the dog was not in the bag and was being stored in his secret shirt pocket, which all teen boys have, right? Then he storms away with the dog. Back to Jade, Chloe and Nora plus Boy. They decide to run a dog wash and people actually leave their dog with these unattended 3-year-olds. Yeah, they get caught again and get taken back to daycare, which yet again, they immediately, no hesitation, break out of it again. I hope these parents sue. They try a bunch of other money-making schemes, dancing, portraits, balloon animals, miming. I'm pretty sure with all the money they spend on balloons and mime makeup, they could have just bought the dog back. Yeah, but none of these work. Sasha, Yasmin and Nita next attempt at taking the dog back ends with the bag ripping and Snappy escaping and causing a food fight. Fast forward, they all get caught and Dwayne ends up with the dog again. The girls realize they have to compete in the karaoke competition, and through the power of friendship, somehow these girls, with no rehearsal, pulled off a perfect musical number. The Bratz babies stand up to Dwayne and keep their money and get the dog back. Yay! The movie ends and this woman suffers no consequences for losing 8 children for hours at a time. She even gets a boyfriend out of this day's events. I'm still confused about the whitewashing of Sasha. I did not even realize that it was meant to be her at first. Then I looked up the Sasha dolls in the early 2000s and they did not look like this. Then I looked up the baby Bratz Sasha and she did not look like that. Some of the dolls even had afro texture, so I have no idea why she looked like this in the movie. Where did her melanin go? Who stole it? Did Dwayne take that too? On the topic of appearance, I do not know why the Bratz, these 3-year-olds, are wearing makeup all the time. Maybe if other characters in this movie looked like them, I would just say this is their natural faces. But no, look at the background characters compared to these dolled up 3-year-olds. No wonder these girls were late at the beginning. They spent an hour doing their makeup, and Miss Calabash did not even care about the dog being there, so this whole thing was pointless. The dog could have just stayed there and been known. But no, these guys need to be put in unneeded danger. This entire movie felt like it could have been 20 minutes, and they stretched it out and kept repeating scenes, so my rating for this movie is a 3 out of 10. The next movie is Bratz Super Baby, which came out in 2007, and as you can obviously tell, they changed the animation style from 2D to CGI 3D. The opening of this one was much better than the last one. Nita and Nora are not in this movie. Maybe they moved away. But this movie is still about the girls being taken care of by this woman called Gran whilst their parents are at a reunion. The girls are watching a TV show called Super Bud about their favourite superheroes who they are going to meet at their local theme park with Granny. They meet them and the girls are a bit thingy, but overall their day goes well. Slight side note, there is no way these toddlers met the minimum height requirement for the rides they went on. This has to be against the law. Whilst all this is happening, the girls are being watched by this group of aliens who misunderstood an ad for the theme park, and they have concluded that babies are the ruling class on Earth and have servants like Granny to do their bidding. So they decided they are going to become babies and be waited on like royalty. One of the aliens, called Tuba, sneaks off ahead of the rest of them to get a closer look at humanity and runs into this teenager in the souvenir shop who thinks he stole this device, which is called a matter exchanger, which turned him into a baby. The matter exchanger happens to look similar to a toy called the Ultra Zapper. The babies arrive at the souvenir shop and end up buying the matter exchanger by mistake, and Tuba leaves one of the Ultra Zappers. The matter exchanger works by turning you into whatever you wish for. So when the Bratz are at home wishing they were like their favourite characters, just as Granny accidentally clicked the matter exchange. Key information about Granny: she cannot see very well. These glasses are not doing much for her. She constantly confuses the girls despite the fact they look nothing alike.
Now, Chloe.
It's me, Gran. Jade!
Jade. Oh, yes.
The next day, the girls realize they have superpowers by the fact they can fly, have super speed, and voice-shattering powers, and a bunch of other things babies don't typically have unless they are made by Professor Utonium. This joke is very relevant when I'm writing this script, as the trailer for live action just got leaked. It will be out of date by the time you're watching this, but I liked my reference. The aliens eventually realize they don't have the matter exchanger, so they go back to the gift shop, kidnap and interrogate this poor employee for information, and the entire time, he's just worried about being late to his next job at the pizza shop. They find the security system and discover the girls have the device and start trying to figure out how to find the babies. Capitalism has him by the throat. He's being tortured and all he's thinking about is his next job. Poor guy. The girls start flying around saving the day. It's a really good thing they accidentally bought that device, or a lot of people in the town would be dead without them. I mean, coincidentally at the same time, all these awful things are happening. Somehow Gran did not realize all 4 children left the house. I am sensing a reoccurring theme of incompetent adult around the Bratz. Obviously, a group of superpowered babies flying around town saving the day has been noticed by the townspeople, and they make it on the news, which the aliens end up seeing, and they plan to lure the Bratz, which ends up working, and the Bratz are captured by this veggie army. Then the Bratz capture them. A lot happens in 5 minutes. The veggies demand their device back, and Sasha, who gains super intelligent when transformed, realizes that they want the toy that Gran has. The veggies lie,
Just please return our property, and we will leave your planet promptly.
and the Bratz are complaining about being superheroes, and far away, Gran presses the button on the matter exchanger again, which results in the Bratz being powerless, and the veggies all becoming the world's ugliest babies. The veggies leave to live their best life, to be served by Gran, who of course does not notice the difference between the Bratz and the veggies. I'd be very insulted if I was the Bratz. And the veggies recaptured the Bratz, and they were left in a spaceship that was set to be sent back to the veggies' home planet. Clearly, they escape, but these two park workers get trapped in the ship. Poor them. The Bratz manage to get home by ordering a pizza to Gran's house and sneaking into the back of the pizza car, so it takes them home. And guess who delivered the pizza?
Worship me, you disagreeable lowlife!
This poor guy is traumatized throughout the movie. The Bratz fight the potato aliens, but they start getting beat, so they decide to psychologically attack them. They get Gran, who still thinks the Bratz are the potato babies, and Gran starts making potato dishes in front of them. This is the best scene in the movie. This terrifies them. I'd be terrified too. They do this so menacingly, and I'm not even a potato. I mean, you can't prove I'm a potato. The veggies turn themselves into rat to run away, and they get stuck like this. The movie's ending, and we see the girls gleefully eating the potatoes. Their mouths are terrifying me in the scene. Why are they eating like this? I did find it interesting how the aliens were different types of potatoes. Creative. Throughout this movie, I was thinking, even if their plan did work and they got rid of the Bratz, when their parents got home from their trip, they would notice that these potatoes are not their babies. They can see properly, unlike Gran. For sake of argument, let's say they don't notice that they are different from their own children. The parents are eventually going to notice, therefore, unrelated by blood toddlers are not aging. So they would be sent to the doctors and found out to not be human. Eventually. If they bothered to do more than 2 days of research, they would have realized that the most pampered beings on the planet are pets to rich people. If they turned into a cat or another animal with a long lifespan, they can get at least 20 years without anyone questioning why they're not aging. But no, they are impatient and did not properly research before attempting assimilation into Earth society. The true victim of this movie is a teenager who kept running into these menaces and these workers that ended up on the alien planet. They were all just doing their job. There's also a video game based on this movie, which is great because these veggies have really punchable faces and you can punch them in it. Best game ever. My overall review, this was the only Bratz movie I remembered because how could you forget the potato babies? I actually like watching this movie and the potato buffet made me laugh. So 7 out of 10. The third and final Bratz baby movie is Bratz Babyz Save Christmas, which came out in 2008. I wrote the script in March. Watching a Christmas movie 3 months into the year felt weird. They are yet again being babysat by Gran, which is shocking to me. Did their parents not recognize their kids flying around on the news when she was meant to be watching them? In this movie, the Bratz parents end up being snowed in at the airport after their ski trip and won't make it home in time for Christmas. So to cheer up the girls, Granny decides to take the girls to the mall to meet Santa, but the Santa is not there because it's Christmas Eve and he is preparing to deliver all the presents. Someplace else in the mall, there's an evil Santa. Okay, I can't remember his actual name, but everyone in this movie calls him Santa. I'm going to call him Evil Santa. Evil Santa is actually a criminal who was meant to rob a place, but that plan fell through, so he decided to dress up as Santa and ask kids what they want, whilst his sidekick, Ralphie and Reggie, robbed the parents. The first kid threatened his life.
If I even smell flannel under the tree, I'll put rocks in your Christmas cookies.
So we love instant karma. They eventually get caught and run away. After failing to get the money that evil Santa owes his boss, he starts begging and pleading on the phone about how he won't be able to deliver the money on time.
I'm telling you, I'm not gonna be able to deliver this Christmas.
He can't deliver the presents?
The Bratz bump into him and overhear the conversation, and they think he's the real Santa because they are like 3. I don't know why they're always on their own. It is hard to find a capable adult to watch them. The girls conclude from the phone call that they overheard that Christmas is cancelled, so now they are even more depressed than before they got to the mall. Their parents won't be there and neither will Santa. Gran realizes the kids are really sad and decides to dress up as Santa to surprise the kids and get stuck on the roof for the rest of the movie. So whilst the toddlers are running around town later, this 8-year-old woman is trapped on the roof and no one helps her because they think she is an ornament. The girls decide to become elves to help Santa as they believe they are qualified to be elves. Their qualification being they have been doing Christmas ever since they were 2. They are 3 years old max. These children break out of the house, and again I ask, do child-proof locks not exist in the Bratz universe? The girls steal, permanently borrow this reindeer decoration and start driving it to the North Pole. Evil Santa and his helpers are trying to come up with a plan to get the money that they owe their boss when the TV turns on and informs them an orphanage is getting a donation of $1 million. So Evil Santa decides to steal the orphan's presents. This is the start of a redemption arc of the century, as Ralphie and Reggie are 100% against this idea since they are such huge fans of Christmas. They don't want to steal from orphans on Christmas. That's the most morally bankrupt thing you could do. But Evil Santa threatens them.
Oh, Santa, crime is one thing, but this is criminal.
The Bratz get to the North Pole toy shop and meet the head elf. Somehow these toddlers convince this grown man to let them be elves. He doesn't question enough in this movie. Evil Santa and his sidekicks turn up. Reggie and Ralph are told to distract the girls and the head elf, whilst Evil Santa robs the elf and steals the money from the orphans. So the Bratz, along with Reggie and Ralph, are all doing this test to see if they can become elves, and Evil Santa successfully steals the key so that he can steal the money and is about to run away with the money when this woman, who has been following him the entire film, catches him, and we learn she's the boss. She tricked the girls and the elf into going into a barn and traps them there. It's basically a random woman and Evil Santa make off with the money, but Ralphie and Reggie come in with the save and turn good, and they all hunt them down and give them to the police, and Christmas is saved and the orphans get their money and everyone is happy except for the criminals and Gran. She is still on the roof.
Oh my.
Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas!
The only reason this got a higher score than the first movie is because I love Ralphie and Reggie. I'm a sucker for a good redemption arc, 6 out of 10. All of the Bratz baby movies are so unusual with how the Bratz will talk in full sentences.
Never even knew we were gone. Merry Christmas, Gran.
And can sneak out of the house and daycare. So at times they act like small adults 1 minute with their capacity to come up with ideas. Then 30 seconds later, they are throwing themselves on the floor, screaming, crying, and climbing on people for attention. Like the babies that they are. Also, why are these babies rarely ever wearing trousers? And if they are, they pair them with crop tops. In the winter movie, not a mitten or scarf in sight, the most weather appropriate accessory are the elf hat. The Bratz graduate from babies to kids. Good for them. The first Bratz Kids movie is Bratz Kids Sleepover Adventure, which came out in 2007. This is actually the movie I remember the most, other than Super Baby. This is a sleepover movie where the girls tell scary stories. 2 stories in particular scared young me to my core. This movie also adds another girl to the Bratz squad, Megan. Megan was the first character other than the core 4 to be added to the doll line in 2002 Express It line, and is often considered the 5th Bratz. In this movie, she's just one of the gang. She also appears in several Bratz video games. Megan is not the only girl from the toy line to appear in this movie. Dana appears in one of the stories. She has been a friend of the Bratz since 2002 in the styling, salon, and spa line. Both her and Megan do appear in the first Bratz movie, starring and styling in 2004. I just wanted to mention that. Now onto the actual movie. Bratz Kids Sleepover Adventure starts with the Bratz being dropped off at the new girl in town's house, Ginger's, for a sleepover. Ginger informs the girls it is her first ever sleepover, and the girls become determined to have the best sleepover ever. It is time for the girls to go to sleep, but the Bratz decide to tell scary stories, much to Ginger's dismay.
What are you doing? Where'd you get those? What do you mean? This is required sleepover gear.
Sasha starts off the story with my favourite of the lot. The story starts with the Bratz at a carnival, messing about in a hall of mirrors. Sasha spends a bit too much time looking in the mirror, leading to Megan and Yasmin teasing her.
Oh, here we go. Sasha's stuck in her old self again. She doesn't need us. She's got a best friend.
I think they're just haters. Sasha leaves that negative energy behind and goes to look in the doppelganger mirror. It looks like a regular mirror, but its reactions are just a bit too slow. And Sasha realizes this and is understandably creeped out. Then her reflection tries to choke her out and then dashes her across the room. Very violent for a Bratz movie, watching this child be flung about. Her reflection jumps out of the mirror and Sasha chases it out of the hall of mirrors, and Sasha chases it. Then a switcheroo happens and suddenly Sasha is being chased by the reflection. I would have left the carnival. This is insane. She runs back into the hall of mirrors and gets dragged into it. The doppelganger gloats and tells Sasha she's going to take over her life.
You enjoyed looking at your reflection so much. Look around. You're surrounded by yourself.
And leaves her in the mirror. The end. After watching this movie, I used to spend ages looking in the mirror trying to catch it being delayed. I don't know what my plans were if I did catch it. Sasha didn't even defeat her, so I can't take example from her. I probably would have been left in the mirror too. They really did start with a high, and the rest of the scary stories fail in comparison. Next up is Chloe's story, which starts with her wanting to get a puppy, and her parents say she can get one if she does a good job babysitting her neighbour's Mrs. Winter's dog. She gets the dog and it has a muzzle on it, and she's told not to take it off, but but she is like 6 in this movie, so of course she takes it off and the dog starts talking.
Call this a life? 10 years old and I ain't never been to Paris.
At first she was really excited, because what child would not be excited by a talking dog, but that soon changes when she learns that this 10-pound dog is a menace and it keeps escaping her room, and her parents start thinking she's irresponsible.
You are ruining my chances of getting a puppy!
That is correct, shorty.
It orders $55 worth of food plus a tip, which bankrupts poor Chloe. I'm pretty sure they probably could have rejected the food. Chloe finally has enough and decides to give the dog a bath to get revenge, because the night before she heard the dog having a nightmare about having a bath. The dog, Taco, aka this little hellspawn, demands to go home when Chloe tries to bathe it. Somehow all of this leads to Chloe's parents buying her own dog, but it turns out she is cursed. The first thing this new dog does is order a pizza. I don't get how this is meant to be a scary story. I mean, getting robbed by a dog is not ideal, but it's not scary. Even scaredy cat Ginger laughed at the story. Next we have Megan's story, and we are back at the carnival, and all Megan wants in this story is a pie. These pies you can only get once a year, but her sister and her friend keep refusing to get it, and when Megan finally sneaks away, she sees the final slice being given to this clown, and she is distraught, and her sister does not care at all. Not only did she not get her annual pie, her sister dragged her onto a ride, which leads to her being vomited on and wearing this ugly shirt.
Orange isn't your best color, and the clown is way freakish, but in general, it's not so bad.
And Megan is wishing they would just leave her alone. After Megan's soul has been crushed, sister drags her to a magic show. She is then forcibly taken on stage, thrown into a box, and when she opens it, everyone is gone. She is not too bothered by this and goes to get her pie, which I am happy for her. The whole day is almost worth it after this. After eating her body weight in pie, she goes on to the riptide, but there's no one to stop it, so she goes over and over again. They literally just use the same footage, and I found that really funny. And at some point she just jumps off, which she probably could have done earlier, but again, she's 6 and didn't think of it. Then this clown terrorizes her, because as we all know, clowns are evil. She decides that since all this weirdness started with the box, she would go back into the box, and it worked, and everything went back to normal. I'm really happy she got her pie, and her sister is my #1 enemy. And then we go on to the next story, which is Yasmin's, and she has to have the least scary story of the lot. She buys herself a charm bracelet using money she was meant to buy her friend Dana's present with, and she got Dana a boring plant pot, not even a pretty one. She at least could have got one with decoration. Yasmin takes off the bracelet and it starts following her around everywhere until she gives it to Dana. The end. That is the entire. It was really underwhelming. Next is Jade, and they are at the carnival again. The Bratz are about to go on the monster dungeon ride, which Jade thinks is not scary because monsters aren't real. Then the ride's conductor tells them the story about a kid similar to Jade who got on the ride and was never seen again, but Jade thinks that story's made up. The tunnels are dark and really not appropriate for 6-year-olds. The ride continues and Jade mocks everything that she sees until weird things start happening, like Chloe, Sasha and Yasmin's eyes start glowing. Then the ride goes pitch black, and when the lights turn on, all the girls apart from Jade are monsters, and Jade starts to believe. She jumps off the ride and tries to run, but she is hunted down by wave after wave of monsters. Then they have a dance off and Jade flees, and suddenly they are back on the ride with the girls who are now human again. Or are they? Dun dun dun. Now all the Bratz have told their stories, and they try to convince Ginger to do one, but she refuses and gets overwhelmed and flees the room. The girls try and go after her, but she is gone, along with her parents, and the house is now different. There is no electricity or heating. The house is covered in dirt and cobwebs, and those cobwebs look like they have been there for years. But the girls were playing in the house hours ago, so how could that be? The girls run out of the house and notice it's run down now with a no trespassing signs, even though the house was fully livable not that long ago. I did not mention this earlier, but Sasha mentioned that she met Ginger and her parents outside of the old abandoned theatre. Oh, and the girls thought Ginger's house was condemned and abandoned before they got there, so there totally was a little bit of foreshadowing at the beginning of the movie. Also, stranger danger, Sasha's dad did not even see the parents before dropping several kids off there. This house could have been the wrong house. He just dropped them off and then left and assumed it was the right place. Bad parenting in this world. Anyway, back to the present. The girls are running into the streets, really freaked out that the house is now in disarray, and they start bumping into all the characters from their stories, like Taco the dog. Sasha's doppelganger rides into them on a skateboard. This clown shows up. The girls try and go to their own houses, but behind each door are Ginger and her parents in their houses. The girls scream until they get to Sasha's house. This time when they try and open the door, Ginger and her parents are the ones horrified, as the girls have turned into monsters from the rides, and they act like they have been monsters all along.
People are acting crazy! Well, you know what they say. Strange things happen on a full moon.
And then the movie ends, and these girls are monsters. And this is an amazing movie, and no one can convince me otherwise. Even though the girls ended up being monsters, this is still the least amount of trouble that they have caused so far. No dangling off of trees, no flying down the street or fighting evil aliens. All the threats in this movie were fictitious. Even Ginger and her parents weren't that big of a threat, and the Bratz end the movie very happy. This is the only Bratz movie where Sasha has curly hair. Some of these stories had messages in them. It's better to give than to receive. Or you don't know what you have until it's gone. Be careful what you wish for. Be respectful of monsters. Oh, and don't look in mirrors. Were Ginger's parents going to kill the girls in their sleep or something? Because both Ginger and her mom was very insistent that the girls sleep.
It's time to go to bed. Okay. Yes, Mrs. Wisping. Good night. All right. Don't let the bed bugs bite.
They kept insisting of it. So I feel like the girls got off easy at the end of this movie. And to rate the movie, 8 out of 10. I love this movie. Some of the stories weren't scary, but the ones that were legendary and will forever be remembered. Iconic sleepover. The final movie in the Bratz Kids, Bratz Baby universe is Bratz Kids Fairy Tale, which came out in 2008. The Bratz Kids in this film have promised their principal that they will put on a play. I don't know why these 6-year-olds are in charge of an entire production, but oh well. The Bratz start bad-mouthing all the leads of the fairy tales, calling them stupid and uninteresting.
Her grandmother's got fur, sharp teeth, and whiskers. Duh! Run, you little goof! She's a wolf!
The girls are playing the lead roles of the classic fairy tales, Chloe as Rapunzel, Jade as Snow White, Sasha as Little Red Riding Hood, and Yasmin as Cinderella. The girls talk about how if they were the princesses, they would do so much better. Then a talking frog called Chadwick shows up and tells them that the keeper of fairy tale lore overheard them, and he's going to kidnap the Bratz and throw them into the stories. The girls question why the keeper would do that. Apparently, if people start hating and stop reading fairy tales, the characters that really exist in their reality will die. They get teleported into the fairy tale book. Chadwick tells them that the girls have until midnight to go through each fairy tale and bring them to a happy conclusion, but if they fail, they'll be trapped in there forever. This would not make me like fairy tale books, which is the keeper's ultimate goal. I would never mention a fairy tale again if they started holding me hostage and threatening my life. The first story they get is Rapunzel, and Chloe is teleported to the witch's tower. Chloe tries to escape using the door, but obviously that does not work. So then she decides to climb out the window using her hair, but the guard crow spots her and tells the witch, who just turned Goldilocks into a tree stump. Apparently in fairy tale land, Goldilocks is a well-known thief, but not just to the bears, and she pissed off this witch. Chloe finally reaches the ground from climbing down the tower, but forgot to bring something to cut her hair and is stuck there and trying to pull herself free. While she's doing this, the witch comes and stops her prison break and forces her to go back in the tower. The rest of the Bratz are wandering along through the dark forest looking for Chloe, and they stumble upon Goldilocks. You get it? I'm so funny. Chloe tries to escape again, and the witch decides to turn her into soup, and she turns Rumpelstiltskin into an onion for flavour. I love that she's seasoning. The Bratz show up and save the day, destroying the witch's broom and wand, leaving her powerless, and the crow guard takes her to the top of the tower for revenge because apparently the witch has been torturing him. Mr. Onion and Mrs. Stump bump into each other after the girls leave and become friends. The next fairy tale is Snow White, played by Jade. She gets dropped into the dark forest alone and hunted by the huntsman. She finds the 7 dwarfs and they are awful, and they are also part of a band called the 7 Ds, which produces the best song in the movie, even though their band has a questionable name. The 7 dwarfs say Jade has to cook and clean because she's a girl, and if she refuses, she can go outside and die in the woods. I would have chosen death out of spite and came back and purposely bled on their floor. I would die there just so they had to clean it up. Is that too dark for a Bratz movie? Well, we did almost watch cannibalism 5 minutes ago, so I guess intentionally bleeding on someone's floor just to spite them is fine. Outside of the 7 dwarfs' house, the evil queen is scheming, arguing with the magic mirror.
Curses, that little jerk.
Do you really think it's healthy to carry around all this anger?
Quiet. I'm scheming.
And accidentally bites into the poison apple, so she decides to go with poisonous grapes instead. Jade quits her 20 minutes of servitude after being given sweaty socks and decides she would rather take a chance in the woods. After trash talking Snow White so much in the beginning of the movie because she was stupid enough to take an apple from a weird old lady,
Snow White is even more embarrassing. No thanks, loser.
she tries to eat these random grapes growing on a tree. The only reason she did not is because the frog stopped her by pointing out grapes don't grow on trees. Even if they did, no food is growing anywhere around her. Not any other grapes, nothing, except for this perfectly preserved bundle. Did that not seem strange to her? The girls finally find Jade, and the wicked queen is mad her plan did not work and starts chasing them down. Then the witch from earlier appears as she tricked the crow into releasing her. Then these two end up fighting over who gets to kill the girls. Then then they get pushed into a well. Going back to the dwarves, why do they look like the gnome from Fashion Pixies? I'm very confused. The end. The next story is Sasha as Little Red Riding Hood, and Sasha immediately calls the wolf out on not being her grandma, which the wolf points out was dumb. She probably should have played along for a bit until the hunter came to save her.
I took old lady acting lessons for weeks.
And Sasha gains some respect for the actual Red Riding Hood. The girls find Sasha immediately because Riding Hood's grandma lives right next to the dwarves. They all run away and climb a tree because wolves can't climb trees, and this wolf just stands at the bottom of the tree monologuing for a while.
I could always chop the tree down, or I could burn it down.
Before he reveals wolves in Fairyland can climb trees. I googled it. Wolves in real life can climb trees too, if they are skilled enough, so I don't know where the girls got the impression they would be safe up there. Seeing all the girls in the tree reminds me of those pictures of the goats in the trees. Anyway, the wolf almost gets to them. The girls realize they are dangling above the well and drop him in with the rest of their problems. Out of sight, out of mind. But these three start scheming at the bottom of the well to get the girls. The end of this story. Now on to the final fairy tale. Cinderella, played by Yasmin, who is being tormented by French people.
You ought to punish her, Mama. She hasn't even made her ballrooms yet.
Yasmin pulls an Uno reverse and convinces her stepfamily that she would hate to go to the ball, so as punishment they bring her to the ball. The carriage they are in breaks down and they have to walk to the ball, and they finally walk into Goldilocks and Rumpelstiltskin, who pretend to be the prince's former fiancé and mother-in-law, who the prince turned into a stump and onion for being gold diggers. Then the stepfamily abandon Yasmin in the woods for fear that might happen to them. Now that they have gone, I can say they should have been played by Birdine and the Tweevils. I don't get why they didn't do that. Maybe because I just watched the entirety of the Bratz TV show, but I did expect them to pop up at some point during these movies, because in the TV show, in the episode Cinderella, Yasmin played a Cinderella parody and they were her stepfamily, so I feel like they could have done that again and it would have worked perfectly. Yasmin then calls the fairy godmother on the phone. Don't know how she got the phone, because whatever you had when you came into the fairy tale land that was a part of your costume should be gone. They stated that earlier on in the film.
Or I'll stab you with this! Where are my scissors?
You've become Red Riding Hood. This is her basket now, not your mother's sewing kit.
So I don't know how she has her phone. And more importantly, how does she get the fairy godmother's phone number? I guess we'll never know. Yasmin gets her dress and glass slippers and asks for Rumpelstiltskin and Goldilocks to be turned back to normal as thanks for saving her from her stepfamily. The godmother tries to turn the rest of the Bratz into the coach and horse, but Yasmin decides to walk. Just then, the three baddies show up after escaping the well. They probably should have covered the well so they couldn't climb out, but hindsight is always great. As the chase starts, the old witch trips and gets left behind, and Rumpelstiltskin and Goldie beat her up and throw her back down the well as revenge. The girl robs this guy's horses and flee. The wolf gets hungry and eats the wicked queen, which is crazy. Yasmin gets to the ball, but this 50s style bouncer said she cannot enter without her stepmother, since she is the one that got the invitation. Just before the girls try and sneak in, everyone comes running out screaming about the wolf attacking the ball. So does that mean the wolf was on the guest list? How did he get in? Also, how did he get there before them? He had to stop to eat the wicked queen, and he does not run at wolf speed. He runs just above human speed, even when he was chasing the girl. Thus, he had a full stomach. It should have taken him a while to get there. Just before he eats Sasha like he really wanted to, Yasmin throws her glass slipper at his head and knocks the wolf out. The prince shows up to the day being saved and decides that he must marry his hero, and picks up her slipper and then drops it like a moron. Luckily, the bouncer got Cinderella's name, so the prince charges off to find her. The end. Then the girls are free because they have all left their stories to a happy conclusion, and they have a newfound appreciation for the fairy tale girls. And Chadwick gets free from his curse of being a regular frog and is upgraded to a prince frog.
I am a prince again.
Frog Prince?
Yeah. What did you think?
Then their principal shows up and tells them it's time for the play. And their principal has the same voice as Chadwick, and his last name is Grimm, as in the brother Grimm, who are credited with most modern fairy tales. So their own principal put them in a life and death situation. He needs to be fired. Also, how does he have the time to be the keeper of the fairy tale lore and a principal? That seems like it would take up a lot of your time. And I thought they were meant to be doing a play, not a musical, and that concludes this movie and the Bratz Bratz Kidz universe. I briefly mentioned it earlier, but they reused a lot of models in the Bratz. Chloe's dad in the Sleepover movie has been in several movies and the TV series. Also, the bouncer at the ball is also one in Bratz Rock Angels. Apparently, he really likes being a bouncer. They really said reduce, reuse, recycle. I think this movie is a 10 out of 10. They really did save the best till last, and I was on the edge of my seat, worried for these girls when the three villains decided to work together. The stories were quick and not too drawn out, and that wolf will be haunting my dreams. It was so weird. My overall opinions of the Bratz Kidz universe. I'm really disappointed that none of the songs songs were particularly memorable, except for the first one because that intro was so bad in that movie. After I finished the movies, I could not remember a single song, and kids shows can have memorable songs. The movie I see referenced the most are Bratz Super Baby and Bratz Sleepovers Adventures, so it's nice to see that this corner of the cinematic world stayed alive in the public consciousness, even if it's just in memes. I wish they made more Bratz kids since they were so creative. I'd wish these movies were not standalones and they were part of a collective universe, but no, they had nothing to do with each other. It would be nice to see the Bratz grow with each adventure they went on, but each movie had no relation to the last. But if these movies are connected to the TV show, does that mean the girls went through all of this stuff and then just went on to do a fashion magazine after? They then met genies, pixies, more aliens. This world's insane. I think that will be all for today. I really enjoyed watching at least the last couple of movies. Tell me if you guys remember any of these movies. I'd like to know. Tell me who your favorite characters were. That will be all. Good. Bye.